Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business, share them with us so that we can learn as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. And the link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, our special guest is Nadio Granata. He's the founder of the AI Collective and also the founder of Earth 2.0. So, Nadio, thank you so much for being on the show. And I want to start off with the first question that I always love asking, which is this. If you were somehow able to go back in time to when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Great, that's a good question. I think the number one piece of advice would be to trust myself. To trust myself. Yeah. I think I've started out always looking for support, looking for other people to give me the answers to questions I probably had the answers for myself. So that might sound boastful, but yeah, I wish I trusted myself more, sooner, quicker, harder, and move faster.
Yeah, yeah. So trusting. What did you learn along that journey to trust yourself more? Because obviously, I know that that's a some people are really good at that, and other people have just learned how to trust themselves over time. So, is there anything that you did to have that more integrated into yourself so that you didn't maybe question as much of what you did?
I think I just did the hard miles, Jason. I think time, over time. And as I get towards what you might call the twilight of my career, I look at those around me and look at those that I've been with over the years. And I don't think anybody particularly had anything better to offer, any better ideas. I think I had the ideas, I had the energy. I might not have had the budgets that perhaps would have helped to accelerate things. But overall, yeah, just go with trust yourself. Little too sharing with ideas too soon in the process as well. Better to tell people what you've achieved rather than what you're looking to do next.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Love that. Love that. Is there something that throughout the course of your business that has really stuck out to you in terms of the biggest challenge that you've had and faced so far? And I'd love to hear like what is that and the lessons you've learned from that as well.
Yeah, I recently, well, so recently, about 4 or 5 years ago, qualified as a GCologist. So the GC index is a method of measuring our proclivities, of which there are five, and I won't bore you with all the details. But my measurement is a 10 out of 10 game changer and a 9 out of 10 polisher. And that leaves a bit of a gap for implementation. I'm not the best at implementing. So the thing that I've learned as a result of that consultation, if you like, and learning how to use the GC index, is that I need to surround myself more with people that implement, rather than I don't need strategists particularly. I don't need ideas people, but I do need implementers, people that get things done.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really great reflection of knowing kind of the strengths and weaknesses that we all have in different areas. And some people are great implementers, but they might need the people, the strategists, or the thought. And then once they have that, they can implement. And like you said, you may not need the people with the strategy, you just need the people with the implementation skill sets around that. Um, is there something that you have learned that's helped you be able to look at those? I'm going to call them weaknesses in our life because we all have them, right? We just have a weakness. Is something that you've gone, okay, yeah, that's that weakness, and being able to find those people that fit that weakness, it's their strength, and being able to find those people and bring them into your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's taken a long time because I think I've often thought I could do it all, or try to do it all. But to outsource admin, and I hate to say this, and I shouldn't say this publicly, but here we go. I'm rubbish at invoicing. I'm terrible at charging for my time, terrible at even when the charge is agreed and the price is agreed and everything else, and then putting the invoice in the post. And so having somebody who pays attention to that, gets the invoice out there, gets the charge out there, brings the money in. Um, that's something that I think I wish I'd invested in a lot sooner. I would have charged a lot more frequently, and banked a lot more money. But we tend to, everybody loves a free marketer, don't they? They all love some free advice. And over the last few years, I've realized that just being popular isn't being good in business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and one of the things that I love you said about that is that you knew, okay, I'm not good at invoicing, even though you've got to have the money coming in. And sometimes that can just be a hang up that we have. It's like, oh, I don't want to really charge someone. But when you outsource that to somebody else, fantastic. I know there are people have incredible businesses. They just don't like doing the selling. And so they hire in someone to do the sales. And then they free to just really love doing what they do with that. And I think that's great, being able to find that. And of course, when you start off in business, you don't always have those resources to be able to bring on everyone. So you have to kind of push yourself through that period of time to be able to get to the point where you can actually hire other people. Yeah. Love that. Were you going to say something
And I,
else, Nadio?
yeah, yeah. Can I just add to that? That it's another thing that I've learned, and it's something that I've just shared with an associate recently, who's also similar age to me, but seems to be doing what I've done a lot of, and it was quite painful for me to say this to him, but it was like, don't forget to ask if they have a budget and what their budget is. Because I work now, as you probably know, in AI, and there's lots of people curious as to how it works, how it can work for them, what, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not short of people inquiring about my services, but I've learned, and I know it's quite harsh, but I start the conversation off with, "What's your budget?" What's your budget? If you've got no budget, then there's a library down the road. If you've got budget, then you want some of my time, then happy to move forward. But yeah, business is business is business. If you're serious about your business, you've got to make sure that you establish very early on what the budget is, who's signing off the budget, and what the T's and C's are, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of exciting, interesting conversations, but no money coming in.
No, I think that's very, very true. I think particularly for the type of people that I work with as well, a lot of coaches, consultants, work with a lot of other people other than that as well. But that's a challenge because they're like, oh, someone's interested. But there's no money there at all, and it's a tough balance, isn't it? Because you want to help people, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you have to value your time because if you're just helping people for free, well, that's a charity, and charities are great. But if you're in business to make money, to be able to support your family and life, and or sell the business at some point, whatever the case may be, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's a great thing that you just said on that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nada, if you look at the next couple of years on what you're doing in your business and the goals you're looking to achieve, what is it that you're wanting to do?
Well, my business has changed quite dramatically, quite recently, and is continuing to accelerate. So I was a chief marketing officer, and now I've invested quite significantly in my knowledge about AI. So my direction is going pretty much on a global basis to training large organizations and governments on how to use AI responsibly. So commercially, more of that, and probably choosing a little bit more the types of types of organizations that I work with, some of the projects that are coming up. So that moving a little bit higher up the training scale into consulting. So training stroke consulting. So I think that's how the next 2 years will pan out commercially. Personally, I think quite the opposite of that, actually, enabling responsible AI amongst children and organizations, not for profits, and finding methods of being able to bring them with us, because the digital divide, Jason, is just going to get greater and greater as AI develops. So we need to make sure that we're bringing everybody with us, not just the executives who thankfully keep me in business, but I'm reinvesting a lot of that time and money in supporting other organizations that can't afford that route.
Yeah, I love that. That's what a great initiative you're doing on that for sure. Well, Nadia, for people that are looking to learn more about what you're doing, what's the best places for them to get in touch with you?
Well, naturally, LinkedIn. I have 26,000 connections on LinkedIn. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. I then will invite you into the AI Collective, which is a network of over 1,100 people around the world in a LinkedIn group. So I connect people through there. And my website is nadio.ai. So if you just want to go to nadio.ai, then you'll see lots of things that I do. My blogs are on there, and lots of papers that I'm producing. I'm just building a new platform to help me with my writing, so I can be more proficient with my writing. So you'll see lots more of that coming out in the next few weeks. Yeah, we're nearly there.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I definitely recommend everyone checking out Nadio and what he does. Nadio, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your pearls of wisdom that you've learned throughout the course of your business. And as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. And the link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.